Call to order. Council meeting. Can we have a moment of silence and pledge allegiance? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Madam Secretary.
Olivia Brady, Valerie Scott Cooper, Hakeem Jones, Heather Lewis, Rebecca Smith, Derek Perry,
Here.
Sonia Sanders.
Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from workshop on 5/15/2018? All in favor? Any nays? Ayes have it. Today we had an executive session that dealt with personnel matters in real estate. And we have some presentations today, the Norristown Area School District. Mrs. Ann Rohr.
And I can hit it, or you can.
Whatever's easier for you.
Okay, I'll just tell me and I'll.
Okay, I'll just motion and you can hit it. That'll be fine. So first of all, thank you again for allowing us to come out. We try to come out every year to talk very briefly about the budget for our upcoming school year. So we're getting ready to adopt our final budget for the 18-19 school year. So we're going out and sharing a few messages about the process that we've used to develop the budget, the tax increase that we're looking at, and happy to answer any questions that you have. And for those of you that haven't seen me before, I'm Ann Rohr. I'm the CFO at the school district. Very proud to have worked for the Norristown Area School District for about 25 years and hope to stay a few more. So we have just a couple topics tonight. You just want to go ahead and we're going to talk very briefly about the budget process. We're going to talk about property tax relief that is available to our community from gambling. And then we're going to provide a legislative update, and then we're going to conclude with just some points of pride that have happened in the school district this year. So often, I think that many people hear, negative perceptions and negative stories about the things that happen in our schools, and we just want to highlight a few things that we're very proud of as we close out the 17-18 school year. Starting off with the budget process, this is going to show you a timetable of where we started, when we started, and how we got to where we are today. So we knew that, the past few years have been very challenging for the school district, and we knew that as we developed the 18-19 budget, we were going to again be faced with some economic challenges. So we started the process earlier. We kicked off our process in November, which is much earlier than we've ever done. So back in November 2017, we held community forums. They were held at Eisenhower Middle School. So we tried to identify and share messages about our challenges, about what we need, and about what the community needs as well. At those meetings, we heard loud and clear that the primary challenge that we have is balancing the needs of our students with the needs of our taxpayers. And as a result of some of the feedback that we heard at those sessions, the school board tasked the administration with the goal of trying to develop an 18-19 budget without a tax increase. Moving forward to January, we're required by law to adopt a preliminary budget in the month of January. So in January 2018, our school board adopted a preliminary budget with no tax increase. As you can see, there was a very significant shortfall, about $4 million. At that time, the school board tasked a new committee. The Facilities Finance Committee was charged with doing all of the budget work and doing a much more in-depth review this year, again, because that shortfall was so significant. Go ahead. In March, that committee had their first meeting to really take that deep dive into the numbers and to try to figure out strategies to close that budget gap. At the first meeting, you can see the shortfall was already closed, and we had already made some significant progress. Good. In April, the committee met again, and honestly, these meetings are very long meetings. They're open to the public. We certainly welcome anyone to come. In April, I think our meeting lasted about 5 hours. And again, we went back to that shortfall and talked about ways to close it. We got the shortfall down a little bit farther. And as you can see, at that meeting, we had a lot of tough conversations about whether or not actually getting to zero was possible. Was it going to be too much of a sacrifice for our students and our programs? So after the April Facilities and Finance Committee meeting, the school board said, wait a second, we really need to go back to the community. We need to go back and present some of the challenges and get some additional feedback. So on April 23rd, we again had a community forum about our budget. And we shared what would be needed to close that budget gap to zero. And the feedback that we heard that night was, you know what, we don't want to go that far. We don't want to cut that deep. A moderate tax increase would be okay with those that were in attendance. May, our board just adopted the proposed final budget. Late in May, that proposed final budget included a tax increase of 2.9%. And we're headed towards June. June 25th is when we're scheduled to adopt our final budget for the 18-19 school year. And again, the goal is to have that tax increase at about 2.9%, which is as high as we can go under the law right now. Some highlights of the proposed final budget: it was spending of about $154 million. It's important to note that that was only a 1.5% increase over the spending in the current school year. The tax increase, again, was at that 2.9% threshold, which is about $135 to the average taxpayer in our community. And that proposed final budget included using some of the proceeds from any potential sale of the Burnside property to close that gap. The strategy right now is that we're going to use $500,000 if we're able to sell Burnside for general fund operating dollars, and then designate the rest of those proceeds directly for the high school athletic project. And you can see we have a very, very small fund balance. The fund balance projected at the end of the 18-19 school year is $1.5 million, which is very scary to us. I mean, I'm sure you guys know as well, fund balance is extremely important to maintaining the fiscal health of any organization. This is just a snapshot of dollars and cents. So here you can see revenues, just compares 17-18 at the left all the way over to the 18-19 proposed final budget at the right. Just simply you can see again how much money comes out of the local community. It is the overwhelming share of the cost of public education. Good. And this just shows you that, you know, revenue 17-18 compared to 18-19 is up by about 2.5%. And again, we had no tax increase for our preliminary budget, and now we're at about a 2.9% tax increase as we move forward to the final budget. We try to show everybody, you know, there's a couple different ways people like to digest information. This just simply, the pie chart illustrates, again, where we get our money from, because it's just such an important message. But overwhelmingly, you know, the money to support the Norristown Area School District comes out of the local community. You can see 71% of that revenue pie is directly from the Norristown Area School District community. The blue piece of the pie illustrates what we get from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, which is about 24% of our dollars. Equity First and Citizens for Fair School Funding, which is a lobbying group, recently released a report that identified the 2018 most underfunded districts in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Our district was number 33 on that list, underfunded by $12.5 million. So we still, you know, continue to argue and advocate that the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania needs to do a better job funding public schools. And again, it just illustrates that just inherent over-reliance on property taxes in the local community that exists in Pennsylvania. A revenue focus is certainly to increase assessed values and property values, to make sure that there are new job opportunities, lower unemployment rates in our district, and we ask everyone to continue to advocate for school funding reform. You know, there are so many states, and I think I've shared a map in the past, that have found a better way to fund public education. And, you know, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is kind of stuck in the mud on this issue, and we really need movement in Harrisburg. This just illustrates the numbers from an expense perspective. Same format, 17-18 on the left, 18-19 proposed final on the right. And you can see the difference, again, is about that 1.9% threshold, or 1.5% threshold. And again, no tax increase to a 2.9% tax increase. Thank you. You know, we're trying to point out as we move through our communities that negotiations are still ongoing with our teachers, our professionals union, and our support union. You know, I'm sure you're starting to hear, you know, some rumblings about that as well. I expect that we're going to have some good news to report very shortly, but it has made developing our final budget and our proposed final budget very challenging for us without those labor agreements in place. We are not making any additional staffing recommendations. In April, we shared a list of staffing recommendations that still remain intact. They include the elimination of 10 teaching positions, the addition of a community liaison, the reduction in a nurse, and then some changes in our maintenance custodian and counselors, very minor though, to be honest with you. And here's just a summary of, you know, fund balance, revenues, expenses. You can see that we started the 17-18 school year off with $1.5 million. We expect to close the 18-19 school year off with that same fund balance level of $1.5 million. Which, again, very, very small in the scope of fund balance. From a property tax relief update, again, from gambling and slot machines in Pennsylvania, for the 18-19 school year, the approved homesteads in the Norristown area school district will get a credit on their tax bill of $247, which is just up by about $5, but, you know, we're happy to see it's up, not going down. That's always positive. From a legislative perspective, we're certainly always looking for help advocating in Harrisburg on our behalf. The budget deadline is right around the corner. There's lots of, you know, positive news that seems to be stirring about, that seems we're going to have an education budget on time this year, and it seems that it won't be very challenging, and it actually looks like, you know, some additional funding will be sent to public education and to schools like Norristown, so that's positive. Property tax reform, there's, you know, some rumblings. There was a recent Senate bill introduced that proposed increasing the state income tax up to about 5% in exchange for reducing property taxes. We don't really know where that's going to end up, but we're certainly watching it closely. Senate Bill 2, vouchers. Big deal in Harrisburg right now. You know, every couple of weeks it becomes a big deal again, then it kind of quiets. I'm not really sure where it's going to end up, but we're trying to monitor this one very closely. This one actually would take money away from the Norristown area school district to the tune of, I think if you hit one more bullet, it's right at the top, it's $1.3 million, and redirect it to private schools, private companies, tutoring companies. So because of the estimated impact to our school district is, you know, $1.3 million loss in revenue, we're really trying to advocate against Senate Bill 2. And then the last one is there's, you know, some discussion of an assessment appeal bill that would limit the power of the school district to challenge assessment appeals. And we are always advocating for charter school reform, in particular the way that charter schools are funded. It's just simply not fair in Pennsylvania. And then in closing, I'm just going to share a few points of pride, again, just to make sure that you're hearing some positive things that are happening in the school district. This year, we proudly launched a telehealth pilot program with the Children's Hospital of Pennsylvania. We were named one of the 2018 Best Communities for Music Education. We just launched a 5-year technology plan, which includes the implementation of one-on-one initiatives, starting right out the gate in the 18-19 school year, which is something that's probably a little bit overdue. It's going to be enhanced by a grant that we received. It's called the Sprint $1 Million grant, which will provide hotspots to our high school students, so they will be able to access the internet at home. And we were just recently recognized, our high school, by U.S. News and World Report. Our high school was awarded a bronze medal for their academic performance. So again, some positive things happening. So we're certainly, again, grateful for your time, grateful for your attention. Honestly, you can feel free to give out my name, my email, my telephone number to anyone. I'm happy to always answer questions about what we're doing, what's going on, and about our finances. So again, you know, I thank you for your time.
Thank you. The second item we have is the construction manager update. Is Mr. Gorski here? Oh, okay, there you go.
Councilmember Perry, if I can, just as a prelude to Mr. Gorski's discussion, I know I wasn't here at the last meeting, and I know at the last meeting council did award the construction manager contract to Mr. Gorski. And I know that there was some concerns raised post that meeting, and so we wanted to make sure that Mr. Gorski had an opportunity to come back and share with council and the public some of the discussion that council and staff had, both staff had in terms of the interview process of talking with all of the candidates for the construction manager position, and certainly the discussion that council had in terms of its needs and its desires, that both local labor be utilized and that local unions be engaged in the process ultimately. And I think from both the staff standpoint, we were very satisfied with the discussion we have, and from my discussions with various council and the depth of the discussion you all had, so were you. So again, I know post that council meeting there was some questions raised, and we asked that the requested council member, the council president Sanders, that Mr. Gorski come forward and share his comments with council, and certainly answer any questions that council might have.
So good evening. My understanding, after the last meeting, there was some questions raised by residents if somehow myself or my organization was anti-building trades or somehow anti-union. And I want to tell you that that is just simply not factual. And, you know, as I explained during the interview process and during our discussion at the last meeting, our company is project focused, and that's what we're here about, is to focus on the work of the municipality and the projects that lie ahead, and make sure that the plan and the inclusion of qualified skilled labor is a high priority, and to make sure that we work within the state laws and the desire of the municipality and the rules of municipality with respect to the responsible contractor ordinance. That's our game plan going forward, and we want to be very inclusionary in that effort. We want to make sure that we involve not just skilled contractors, but skilled labor, trained labor, and safe labor, and without respect to any other affiliations beyond that.
Any other? Thank you. The next item that we have on here, sorry, go ahead, Councilman Jones.
So I'm actually glad that we're having this, we're bringing this back to the table. I can speak for myself, not the rest of council. Originally, we had about 3 contractors who we were considering for this construction manager position. For me personally, I would have liked a little bit more time to make another decision based on some further research. I think not having our administrator, not having our main solicitor at the last meeting, we were pretty much briefed by our engineer. I would like to see this discussion to be had again, considering the three construction managers, the history of all 3 construction managers, and I want to be able to make a decision that's not just good for us financially, but also what's best for the community and the workers in the community.
Maybe we can do this. And I'm not sure if Cal has this information or not. I know that we put out some information and what we were looking for within a construction manager, and because the municipality and how council wants to go about this business is to make sure that everybody is into play. Can you give us some information on some of the stuff that we had talked about and what we're looking for within a construction manager again, and why we picked Gorski?
Certainly. As we had discussed at the last meeting, first and foremost, all 3 candidates were provided with the exact scope so that we're all given the opportunity to review the scope and bid on the same exact thing. The whole purpose out of the construction manager position is to help the municipality in the initial stage, in the conceptual stage, plan the CIP, and help us phase it out properly. There are a lot of aspects of the capital improvement plan that construction manager will be extremely vital and helpful in the initial stage. Some of the little details that should be included as part of the document to go out to bid for bidding. The construction manager's experience in the field is extremely valuable. So we need them to be on board beforehand, not afterhand. So the planning process really needs the construction manager to be on board with us.
Mr. Jones?
Yeah, Council, I wanted to add again, one of the things that we did a thorough investigation of all of the candidates. I know Cal talked to his counterparts. I talked to various managers. And my counterparts, I sought out managers. One of the managers that I sought out was a manager of Limerick, who's going through a project now, a construction project in their community, which actually Gorski is managing that project, and he also has union labor on that project. The engineering contractor is union labor on that project. I think one of the things that was made clear both in the information that was presented to you, the information that was presented to Mr. Gorski and the other two firms that we looked at, and I will share with you that the firms we looked at were the ones that were the top rated firms that are working in the area, because every one of them that we looked at, we not only from my background check, but I know managers who are using those firms and have talked to managers who are using those firms. Cal knows those firms, so they all were excellent firms. One of the things we liked best about this was in terms of the interview process with Mr. Gorski. His firm was the one, knowing what we had in terms of the scope and desires of the council, was the one that really spoke most clearly to inclusion for local labor and to engagement of the local unions in the process. The thing about a construction management contract, and we're talking about basically a $13,500 contract, is number one, all this does is lay out a plan of action for us to move forward to spend the CIP money to and identify the priority of the projects and the scope of work for the projects. So that's their job in this contract. Once that's done, then you move forward with the process of actually putting bids out for work. You have a couple of opportunities here. Number one, if in that scoping of the work project, which is really a process that involves council and staff, you're not satisfied with Mr. Gorski, you can say, okay, you put the scope of work together, we don't like it, we're going to do something else to actually handle the bid process. So there's no exclusion process in this at all. I think this is a process whereby if this is the contract, the construction manager, my encouragement, had it been sought from all of the trades, would have been engage the construction manager. This is the time, whoever that construction manager is, to talk about opportunities and talk about participation when the projects come down the line. And if there are some legitimate concerns raised as a result of those engagement, council has every opportunity to act rather than act before there's any really legitimate work being done. Number two, once that plan of action is put in place and the documents are put out there for construction, the specifications for how those documents go out, for who gets awarded work, still comes back to council to say you've got to approve
all of the bids to go out there. So there's no point in the process where council doesn't have the control to make the necessary decisions if they are unhappy with whoever the contractor is. This is just, you've identified some projects that are your priorities, and we need to move to actually scope out what that means so that we can put contracts out there, give local residents an opportunity to have work, and give the trades an opportunity to bid fairly on those projects. And again, I think from the documents that was presented by each of the contractors, Mr. Gorski's firm spoke most clearly to the vision that the council had laid out for what it wanted in terms of involvement of the trades, involvement and local jobs for people. I mean, that was your desire, is what they have to fulfill, or you can turn them away. But this product that we're talking about is not the work. This product is the plan to get the work done. And so you council will have every opportunity to make the determinations in terms of how that work gets done and how contracts are awarded, and you have to approve every contract that comes out of this process. Thank you.
And just to add on that, I think not only yourself, Councilman Jones, that you are passionate about getting local labor on there. I think we all have the same goal, and I know we have talked about this before, even at our retreat, that we want our people to be on these projects, and not only yourself. Thank you. Thank you. The next item that we have is the 4th of July celebration update.
Good evening, Vice President Perry and council members. I'm Kim Ramsey, the president of the Norristown Chamber of Commerce, and it was almost a year ago today, July 5th, 2017, that I was before you presenting the newly formed chamber where business and community grow together. And that is just exactly what we're doing today. As it's been over a year that we have had commitment and effort from businesses, nonprofit, the community leaders and the community, the municipality and council to work together and present a 2018 4th of July celebration plans. In participation with us, we have actually formed 3 great events in one day. After our final approvals and signatures for the Memorandum of Understanding signed May 15th, the Chamber was able to engage in planning and organizing. Definitely a large feat undertaking in such a short time. However, in just 1 month, we have been able to revise and create new materials for outreach, participation, sponsorship, and are moving forward. The first and best thing we did was to engage in contract with Mrs. Tanae King as our event coordinator to assist us in this process. She has the experience and expertise to facilitate the event, as she's been an operations manager for Live Nations Entertainment Production, a production manager for the Thanksgiving Day Parade, a special events coordinator for the Wawa Welcome America in Philadelphia, and we are grateful that she has partnered with us. This has allowed us to continue our planning, outreach, and follow-up as the volunteers are able to continue their work during the day and assist her during their time availability. The Norristown Chamber of Commerce goals for the 4th of July celebration is to be 1, inclusive, efficient, effective, and most of all, fun for everyone. We want to make sure that the parade and block party on Main Street becomes a staple for the event, for the 4th of July event. We want to make sure that that we connect community and local businesses. We also want to attain visibility for the Norristown Chamber and its sponsors, provide a safe, family, fun, friendly, and engaging atmosphere for all of our attendees. We also finally want to connect Norristown and the surrounding areas, businesses, dignitaries, influencers, community leaders, and decision makers in one place to network and build the city of Norristown's brand. For the how that we are going to do this collectively and accomplish this, I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. King, who will provide a detailed update of our involvement since our involvement in May. I also have with me the Vice President of the Chamber, Chris DiPaolo, and he's been a major contributor and plan and operator of this event as well. We also have the materials up here, and we can ask that you continue to support and promote the event. And I know that the community also has had the flyers, so we definitely invite you all to participate in the parade and the block party as well. On the flyer it has her information. And on the 19th, on June 19th, we will have our summer mixer at Horizon Theater, and we ask you all to please participate, as well as the community, to hear more about what we're doing here in Norristown. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Mrs. King, who will provide the update. We did also forward that update as a 3-page update to the council a couple of days ago, so hopefully you have had that. We'll review it. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim, for that great introduction. Hello, everyone. Again, my name is Tanae King, and it's a pleasure to be a part of the Norristown 4th of July celebration this year. As Kim said, we have 3 exciting events. Oh, sure. No worries. I'll say that again. Hi, I'm Tanae. I am the Chamber Event Coordinator for the 4th of July celebration in Norristown. I'm super excited to be a part of it. We do have 3 exciting events this year. We have the Norristown 4th of July Parade, we have the new block party on Main Street, and we have the concert in Elmwood Park. And I'm basically going to just outline our efforts since May. We got the ball rolling. Things have been going extremely well. We've been getting a lot of participant involvement and people that want to be a part of our new celebration block party on Main. So in May, the outreach began, and we gave out invitations to all the dignitaries and years past participants. The 2018 parade application disbursement began, and the Norristown 4th of July celebration banners and posters were printed by Jazz Press. We actually had one of our banners donated by Jazz Press, who's one of the chamber members, so that was great. And the municipality created a dedicated page to the 4th of July events. So you can go to norristown.org and click on the events page, and then you'll see the 4th of July events, and we'll continue to update that as we get more participants and sponsors that will be a part of all of our programming. All of the outreach to businesses along Main Street have been engaged, so we've been engaging everybody through email, through posters. I've been going door to door saying, hey, get involved, we need you to be a part of this. Highlight your business and get involved with all of our events for 4th of July. To date, we have 70 vendor applications that have been put out and 50 parade participants, and I'm sure my email is now flooded with more because they come in by the minute, so that's a great thing. We've informed SEPTA about our parade changes, and I'll give them updates as we have everything finalized with the route. We've also secured Mascaro receptacles to be dispersed along the route and the block party. So Tom, I know you're happy about that, so we can keep everything clean. We had put in a request with the Montgomery County Commissioner's Office to use their DeKalb and Airy lot to stage and use it for pickups for our participants. And also, we are going to have a beer garden tent this year, and 5 Cents Distillery has come on to be one of the sponsors to facilitate that. We have USCC Christchurch, who has committed to providing us volunteers, and we also have Team Business, who's been doing a lot of our social media and outreach to the community through posting flyers and posters. We also have had numerous posts on social media, on the chamber and municipality website, just doing a call for vendors and participants. And that's all that happened in May. So again, we're moving forward. Everything is going great. Kim and I, the president of the Chamber of Norristown Chamber of Commerce, we have weekly update meetings where I'm keeping her abreast with everything that's going on because everything is moving very fast. The events business is nonstop, so we email each other all the time, and we just want to make this great. Also, Rotation Records will be helping us get talent. So stay tuned for some announcements for our talent at the block party. In June, all of the reminder emails have been sent out to parade participants, just encouraging them to get their registration forms in and to let us know how they're going to engage the crowd and, spread holiday cheer during the parade. We had a meeting on June 1st with the Norristown Municipality, Fire Department, and Police to discuss changes in the parade route. By the 11th of June, we're going to be hanging the banners for the Norristown 4th of July celebration, so be on the lookout for them. They'll definitely be a standout. The parade registration form deadline is Friday, June 8th. The block party on Main registration form deadline will be June 15th. The two banners will be hung at Main and Franklin and DeKalb and Airy, so that'll be the locations for the banners. We will have 3 digital billboards that will run beginning mid-June at the Markley and Main intersection, so you'll be able to see an ad for the parade, the block party, and the Elmwood Park concert. Valley Forge Convention and Visitors Bureau will be putting all of our materials on their website. We'll have Welcome to Norristown pole banners that will go up, that will hang along Main Street, and it'll highlight different aspects of Norristown. So when people come in, they can see all of the things that we have to offer, and that'll be presented on the flags. Social media posts about the 4th of July celebration is an ongoing effort from the municipality and the Norristown Chamber of Commerce. We have continual outreach to all of our chamber members, encouraging them to spread the word. And we're going to have a logistical meeting with our planning team members and our volunteers to just talk about how we will best organize the day of events. Sponsorships, we've been doing very well with that. Kim Ramsey has secured TD Bank as our premier sponsor, who will be giving us $1,000 to go towards the block party and parade efforts. Jazz Press, again, has donated a banner, which is worth $300. And we have a verbal commitment from Owl Zone and the Elmwood Park Zoo to sponsor a kids zone at the block party. Our parade participants are confirmed. Well, we have parade participants that are confirmed. We have Help a Single Parent Organization, the American Legion Post 39, Commissioner Kenneth Lawrence Jr., Congressman Brendan Boyle, Councilwoman Valerie Scott, and obviously all of you guys. I didn't hear back from you, but I did hear some rumors that you might be having a float, so I'm looking forward to seeing that. Dan David, Commissioner Akarsh, and Commissioner Lawrence. We have Judge Gregory Scott, the Norristown High School cheerleaders football team and basketball team, Representative Matthew Bradford, Judge Francis Lawrence, the German Band, Monco Veterans Affairs Office, the Royal Mix, the Willow School, Upstream Mummers Band, the Verdi Band, the Assumption UCC. We've just signed on Boom 103.9, DJ Amir, so he'll be one of our DJs that day, so we're really excited about that. Color Street, Damsel and Pro, Diva Kitchen, Elmwood Park Zoo, as I said, Flamingo School Dancers, the Norristown Fire Department, Norristown Preservation Society. We'll have all kinds of vendors from paparazzi to the Filipino food, Mexican food, so we're excited about that. And the Theater Horizon, and also the VIP School of Cosmetology. In closing, I would just ask if council and everybody here could just continue to spread the word. We want to spread holiday cheer. We want everybody to be engaged. This is exciting, this is new, this is bigger, and we want to continue to make it a staple in Norristown. Again, I'm excited to be a part of it. I'm a Philadelphia girl, new to Norristown, and I'm excited to be here. I've been embraced, and I'm excited to be working with the chamber, working with the municipality, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions or comment? I would like to say that we're definitely excited about it. We can't wait. We love new, fresh ideas. We hope a lot of other people will come with solutions and ideas for a better Norristown, and we definitely appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. The next item on the agenda is the Lafayette Street project.
Thank you, Council. Thank you, citizens, for having us here tonight. I'll do my best here to speak into the microphone. I know the challenges that this room presents for for being audible. Thank you, Crandall. Look at this. Mobile. I like it. Thank you. There we go. Good. Good. Good evening, Council. Good evening, citizens of Norristown. My name is Matthew Edmond. I'm the Section Chief for Transportation with the Montgomery County Planning Commission, and we are the ones in charge of overseeing the design and right-of-way and now construction of the county's main 3 phases of the Lafayette Street Extension Project. We are in the final stretch of the county's portion of this. There's still more to go with the turnpike. I'll get to that at the end. But the county has 3 phases, which I'll talk about in a few minutes. And we are in construction of the 3rd phase. So what we wanted to do was come here tonight, and we wanted to give you and the residents and the citizens of Norristown an update on what we've been doing and then what to expect over the next 18 months or so of construction. Before I do that, I want to introduce a couple of people here who are sitting to my left and standing in front of you. From my staff, Crystal Gilchrist. She is a principal transportation planner at the Planning Commission with the county. Also here is Steve Ryan. Steve is the PennDOT project manager. Next to him is Becky Levan and John Zawoski of JBC Associates. They are part of the construction management team under contract to the county. The 3 of them are at the project on a near daily basis, and they make sure that everything runs smoothly and that there's no issues out in the field with the contractor and with the inspection. So with that, I want to launch into the PowerPoint really quickly. And like I said, we want to give you and the residents here just a brief synopsis of what we've been doing over the last maybe 6 months since we let the project and got the contractor on board and gave them notice to proceed. And before I really go into it, what I want to show everybody real quick is the picture that's up there. This is an actual crane that still remains out in the area of the Lafayette Street project. It's a remnant from back when the Pennsylvania Railroad used to use that area as a freight yard for the freight station the county owns at DeKalb and Lafayette Streets. And all this time, it still remains there. It's still bolted to the original super thick concrete slab. It's about 5 feet high. And I'll close with what we're going to do on that when we get to the end. I'll come back to it. But we're doing something really cool with that, and I'm really proud of what we're doing, but I'll save the best for last. So we recognize that it's been about 3 years since we've been before council, and council obviously has had some turnover, as every council is apt to do over a couple of years. So we wanted to quickly give everybody a little bit of context. This is the full map of the Lafayette Street Extension project. It has technically 5 phases. Numbers 1, 2, and 3 are phases that the county is doing. This is a $90 million project that the county is undertaking. 20% of that is paid for by the county out of our capital budget funds. The other 80% is being paid for by the Federal Highway Administration, but Montgomery County has to front 100% of the money and then get that 80% back. So this is a big deal for the county. This is probably the biggest roadway project that any county has ever undertaken in the entire state of Pennsylvania. Counties do not do this. PennDOT does this, but not counties. Counties just do courts and social services. They don't undertake big $90 million projects. But this is what we're doing. So phase 1 was already done and completed, but not opened, and that's the extension from Ford Street east to what's now Conshohocken Road. It used to be called Diamond Avenue in Plymouth. And just, let me back up, just for everybody's understanding. What you see here to orient yourself, this is Lafayette Street going left to right. This is Markley Street and the Dan Howard Bridge here on the left. On the right-hand side in the middle is Ford Street. And then beyond that is, this used to be Diamond Avenue, it's Conshohocken Road. This is the old Village of Black Horse, if any locals still remember it being called that. And this is the Pennsylvania Turnpike right here. So phase 1 went from Ford Street out into Plymouth Township, and that was the physical extension of Lafayette Street. It's the first piece we did because we wanted to show everybody in the area that we were doing things. We weren't just fixing up a roadway, we were actually making an extension and taking it to places it didn't go before. That was completed at about the end of 2015. On the heels of that, we reconstructed and rebuilt Ridge Pike out in this area here because this has to be able to handle traffic from the interchange, which I'll get to in just a second, and the interchange is a big key to this project. So we reconstructed the roadways, widened Ridge Pike, realigned Diamond Avenue and Fairfield, called it Conshohocken. That's where the Wawa is. Everybody knows the Wawa, so you know the Wawa, you know phase 2, right? And phase 3 is what we are working on now, which is a complete reconstruction of Lafayette Street from Barbados all the way to Ford. And from about Mill Street to Ford, it's going to be widened The viaduct is going to come down, and we're going to be doing a lot of interesting things in that section there. But a complete reconstruction of that facility. Just so you know, Phase 4 is the Pennsylvania Turnpike interchange. And that is key because the whole point of this project is to help revitalize downtown Norristown. You look at Conshohocken, you see what convenient highway access did to Conshohocken, and we've always believed at the county, and council has always believed with us, that we can do the same thing in Norristown. I have to add that this project's been going on since about 2001. That's when we completed the first planning study and started engineering. And despite all the changes we have had at the county, we've had about 4 administrations since then, and they have completely supported this project over the course of 18 years, just as this council has changed over and supported this project over the last 18 years. So number 4 is the Turnpike interchange. They've just started design on that. It's in the Turnpike's capital plan. They're going to build it. It's probably going to open sometime early to mid-2020s because it takes a while to design things, buy the right-of-way, build it, do all the things you need to do in project development. Nothing is quick in transportation. We always take the long game. And then Phase 5, which is still in the regional comprehensive plan, the regional long-range plan, is a half-diamond interchange connection to the Danhauer to help facilitate vehicles to come to and from King of Prussia, to and from the Turnpike into downtown Norristown without having to jam up Main Street. Connections and opening up connections is what this project's all about. So 1, 2, and 3, that's the county's role. We're on number 3. Again, what are we doing? A couple of quick points for everybody. Like I said, full reconstruction of Lafayette Street here through downtown Norristown. We're widening it to 4 lanes with a planted median between the Sawmill Run, which is roughly around Mill Street, and 4th Street. That's what you see right here. We're going to reconfigure the Schuylkill River Trail. We have already taken it off of the viaduct. We're going to put it at grade, which means that the local community and residents and all of us here, we can actually access it from more than just getting on it to Calvert, getting on at Ford. It is accessible to everybody, and we're going to green that area up and make it a bit of a linear park because when people come into Norristown, the first thing they want to see and need to see is a nice, green, open, well-kept Norristown Municipality. We're going to connect to the Chester Valley Trail, which comes up from Bridgeport, and we'll come up from Bridgeport, and we'll loop around, and we'll connect to the Schuylkill River Trail. The Schuylkill River Trail is the most widely used trail in the Philadelphia region. Out here, it's about 1,300 people a day on average. The Chester Valley Trail is the second most used one in the region, out here in the suburbs. That has about 500 people a day. And we're going to make an interchange. We'll call it a trail interchange right here in downtown Norristown and rehab this building at some point in the near future and make that a trail amenity, again, right here in Norristown. We're going to be widening the sidewalks out here on the eastern side of the project limit so that the residents are a little bit, their homes are farther away technically from all the traffic and they have more area to walk, more area to do things. And we're going to improve stormwater management, and I'll get to that again in a little bit. So what has been done so far? We've done a number of things here in the last 5 months. We're really proud of it. The first thing we did was the clearing and grubbing. So you used to take the rail, take the SEPTA train line from Norristown, you head east into Philly, you'd see nothing but scrub brush. It's all gone now. You can go out there and see it from the train or really from anywhere. It's wide open. It really changes the complexion of what that area looks like on the ground. We demolished the viaduct, and if you had the opportunity to go out and see this about 3-4 weeks ago, it was quite a sight to see. This crew here and the contractor did a heavy job. We closed the trail for 5 days. We excavated the entire thing, and then we started demolishing the walls. And so that's a piece of it. These walls are all gone. But if you go down Franklin Street right now, you turn down Franklin to get to Lafayette because it's one way south, and you stop at that stop sign where the light used to be, you can see everything now. If you come up Walnut, you can see everything now. It's huge, and that heavy wall, that came down in the span of about a week or two. We've been excavating on the south side of Lafayette Street. I'll tell you more about that in a second, too. That's the first piece of what we're doing besides connecting the trail and lowering the trail, is we're working on the south side first, east to west, or west to east. So in front of the MCIU, in front of the Norristown Transportation Center, at the intersection of DeKalb Street, we've been pulling out the old curb and graveling that up and getting ready to widen the road and rebuild the road in that area. Not so much widen. There's a little bit. We're going to end up adding some on-street parking here. We're not technically widening the right-of-way, but we are widening the footprint of the roads a little bit to make it a little bit more urban, a little more pedestrian-friendly. We've been working on the site of the freight station. We took a lot of the dirt that was in that viaduct, and we put it here. And you can kind of see a little bit of it. If you know what to look for, You'll see another picture soon. This is all new fill. And since then, we actually filled it up even more. So these Jersey barriers that now line the outside, the perimeter of the freight station, the dirt is up to the top of them. So essentially, instead of having to walk up, we're going to create a public space here that can be used by a number of people. It will be a park-like thing, and it will be ADA accessible. This is probably a better picture. You can see that this is all dark. This is the new dirt that we recently uncovered. Don't worry, eventually the sun will bleach it and make it look light brown like the rest of it. But this now, like I said, goes up to this wall, and the site is mostly graded. We still have some more work that we're going to be doing there this summer. But it's a big change if you go out to Lafayette Street and look at it from the street side. And like I said, we relocated the Schuylkill River Trail. It's no longer on this viaduct. This whole area here, if you go out there today, is gone, and the trail comes back in this way. This is where the trail eventually was stoned in and paved, and we're done with the trail. We don't need to go back and do anything at this point to fix that trail up. It's open. It's now 12 feet wide. It used to be 10, so we widened it 2 feet, and it's a brand new surface. So we're really trying to take care of the trail here. Like I said, make it accessible and refresh it and put it in a place where it can serve the residents of Norristown better. And then this is one of my favorite pictures. We like to go up to the top of the SEPTA garage and take pictures of the entire corridor from about 5-6 stories up. And so you can see, here's the grading that we did. Again, it's more complete now than it was in this picture, but we regraded and have been regrading the site of the freight station. Here's the new trail. It's on grade. It's back. It used to come here. You can see the viaduct in this picture still remained at this spot. It's now gone, but it used to be here. Trail used to go that way and along the street. We've now pulled it back so that we have room to widen the road and green up that area. So with that, that's what we've done so far. Let's talk next about what we're going to do in the coming months. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Becky Levan. Like I said, Becky's with JBC. She's part of our construction management team. She's a scheduler, and she's going to talk about how we've revised our schedule to hopefully cut some time down for construction.
Thank you. Hi, again, my name's Rebecca Levan. I am with JBC Associates. So I'm going to just talk a little bit about the schedule and how it was revised. So originally, the project was supposed to be in a total of 6 stages. And what the contractor and our construction management team was able to work out with the county and PennDOT was to actually remove one of the stages from the project to actually help improve the timeline for the project and cut probably about 4 to 5 months out of it, which is good for Norristown because it cuts down hopefully on the impact it would have on the area. So just so everybody will know, so stage 1 is this area, which is the freight station. As Matt said, that's currently under construction. They are working on filling that in. The only other piece that we would need to do for the trails there is there's a little spur that comes off, excuse me for the shaking, that comes off of the trail and will cut up into the freight station for the Schuylkill River Trail. And then the other piece is that there's some sidewalk that still needs to be installed along here, which is the Cobb Pike, for the Chester County Trail to tie into the Schuylkill River Trail. Then what we did, then we get to stage 2, and stage 2 is really the construction, the demolition and construction of the Sawmill Run culvert. So as most of you have probably seen, on June 4th, the Detour was put into place, and that's to begin doing this work. If you go down Lafayette Street from DeKalb Pike, which right now is only one way between DeKalb and Mill, you'll see that they're actually there installing the structural supportive excavation. And that's to get in preparation for excavating, demo the existing culvert, and install the temporary sanitary lines that we need to put in there before we can install the new culvert. This work will continue from June 4th up until and through early fall of 2018. After fall of 2018, those detours will go away, and I think Lafayette Street will be completely opened after that, if I remember correctly. So that's stage 2, and then stage 3 is this green area that you see, And that's all the roadway reconstruction, the new park area that we're creating below Lafayette Street down in this area. And that's on the south side of Lafayette Street. And then stage 5, because remember, we combined stage 4 into stage 3 and stage 5. Stage 5 will now be from this Ford intersection, and it's this purple line that goes all the way on the north side of Lafayette Street. And that's going to be a lot of your new water line work, a lot of sidewalk, roadway reconstruction, and there will be some driveway aprons that will be replaced during that time. So, and then the last stage, which is stage 6, is really what the contractor will do is they'll take the whole project, they'll mill it, and they'll overlay it with the wear and core, stripe it, and that's the final piece before you walk out. And that's the whole construction process. And like I said, because stage 4 used to be the center line of Lafayette Street, and that got incorporated into stages 3 and 5, which allowed the contractor a little bit more leeway with getting work done, but also helped shorten the timeline for the project. I kind of went through this already, but I'll just talk about where we're at with each of these stages. Matt kind of already explained stage 1, the relocation of Schuylkill River Trail is pretty much complete except for that one spur that needs to be done at the freight station. And then the rest of the freight station work is filling it in, creating some tiers, landscaping, hardscaping, which is like your sidewalks, your retaining walls, that type of work still needs to be done at the freight station. And that'll continue through this summer. Stage 2 is the Sawmill Run Culvert, which I explained. The detour is in place currently, and that should run through early fall of this year. Stage 3 is currently under construction. Mainly the roadway construction and storm sewer has gone in. We still have to do a lot of the what we call site work, which is like where that park area is. So the retention ponds, that type of work still needs to be done, and all the sidewalks down there. That work is also supposed to continue through the fall. And then stage 5, you won't see that north side of Lafayette Street really starting to be disturbed until late fall of this year. And then stage 6 won't occur until stage 5 is complete, and they'll go through and they'll mill and pave and overlay everything after that. Anything else? John, you want to talk about this is John Zawalski. He's on site, and he's going to talk about the detour real quick.
Good evening. So just to go over the detour we have in place right now, to make everybody familiar with it and everybody sees the signs out there. But basically, DeKalb is going to have to, right now, if you come up from Bridgeport, you're going to be detoured to Main Street if you want to head east. If you want to get back to Lafayette Street, before you pass forward, you have to come down Franklin. That's your back down to Lafayette Street. So right now it's closed so that we can reconstruct Sawmill Run Culvert. So if you're coming westbound, you're just going to stay on Main Street until you get to Mill, and then come down Mill to Lafayette. That is a one-way configuration right now. What that did was it allowed us to build and combine the stages of construction so that when we finish with Sawmill Run in stage 3 in the fall of this year, it allows for complete traffic to be running on new paved surface on the complete south side, two-way traffic for the rest of the project until stage 5 is completed. It's not a very complicated detour. We've had outreach with several different residents and businesses just to make sure everybody knows that people can get in and out. And our contact information, both mine, Ms. Levan's, Matt's, everybody's on the back of the brochure that everyone received. So again, we encourage anybody to reach out to us if they have any questions or there's any comments that come up regarding the detour. That's about it. So, Matt?
So, Council, we're on the home stretch of our presentation here, and one of the things I want to make sure that you understand is we did everything we could to time this detour to be during the summer months when people are on vacation, school's not in session. We're very fortunate. We've essentially hit that. The limits of our detour are a little bit before the end of school. I know my kids are go to Hancock, and I know that we end June 19th, so we're a little bit ahead of the game here when we start it, and we'll probably be a little bit after the game. By the time we're done, we'll probably be looking at mid to late September when we end the Detour, which is a little bit after the beginning of the school year. But essentially, though, we've hit the window that we've been trying to do. I want to make sure council understands we didn't really want to have to close Lafayette Street at all, but we didn't have a choice. What we found out was that the culvert is not one culvert. It's not one structure underneath Lafayette Street where Lafayette would go over the Sawmill Run. Our project area actually is like 4 different culverts. So when Norristown built Lafayette Street in, we'll say 1840 something, they built a culvert over it. When the Pennsylvania Railroad came in and built the viaduct in the 30s, they built their own culvert over it. When the Pennsylvania Railroad changed the area between the 2 viaducts and made that a freight station, a freight area, they put another culvert there. When SEPTA came in, or really the Reading Railroad before SEPTA, they put a culvert in. So there's all these culverts, maybe 7 of them, from here to here, and we have to hit about 3 or 4 of them, and they're all at different elevations, and one of them is actually higher than the elevation of our roadway, which means you wouldn't be able to put a road in there. You'd have a massive speed bump because you'd be hitting the top of the culvert if you left it in. So we really had no choice but to rip the whole thing out and start fresh. So the good thing is that Norristown will end up getting a brand new culvert underneath Sawmill Run, underneath Lafayette Street. The bad news is that we all have to suffer a little bit of a detour for 3 months. So I want to make sure that you guys are aware of that and why we're doing that. So finally, lastly, what is in this for Norristown? What is in this for the residents and the businesses, particularly along Lafayette Street? Well, we talked about the economic development potential for the entire town that comes with having good access. But if you live on the street, we understand, and we've always understood, that you're right near the construction zone. You got to deal with all these guys out there moving things, using equipment for a number of months. And so, again, we think that the benefits when we're all done outweigh the temporary frustration that we're all going to have. Like I said, the linear park will be accessible now for the residents. Before, they used to see a big blank wall on the other side of the street. Now it's going to be wide open. There's going to be a green space, a park, a trail. You can get to that. That's going to be your front door. And you can kind of see the rendering that our designer put together. You guys know that it used to look like a big wall here. And when we're done, this is literally what it's going to look like. It's wide open. We're going to have the freight station here in the trail, but also we already had an inquiry from a business on Lafayette Street who said, what are you guys doing for stormwater, because we're in a flood zone and I have to pay for flood insurance. Are you guys going to ameliorate this? And we don't know if FEMA is going to classify this as outside the flood zone, but certainly we're putting more controls into this that we didn't have before here in town. And this is a blow-up of parts of what the linear path is going to look like. And these are rain gardens. And so essentially they're going to collect all the storm water off of the street and recharge it into the ground through here. It's not going to be in the storm sewers. So we're doing things we have to under the Pennsylvania DEP regulations. We have to do things to help the storm water, and we're doing that, and that's a benefit that the residents are going to get besides trail access, wider sidewalks, more on-street parking. We're really trying to be as responsible as we can for the residents and the businesses along the corridor. This is our contact information. There is, I'm going to come back to this. There's 2 things I want to show you. Really quickly, we have a website. If I can navigate to this very quick. And I want to make sure that you guys all know this and that the public sees this. Whoops. So we've had this website for maybe 7 or 8 years. It's www.LafayetteStreetProject.com. And if you mess up and you hit .org, we reserve that web domain too. So you'll still end up here anyway, which is pretty cool. And we have everything you need to know about the project and its background. I'm having a little trouble scrolling down, so I won't go through all this stuff, but you can see we have quick links to where are we with construction, a link to the project brochure so you can see quickly what's going on. We update the traffic restrictions every week, so if you live, work in the area, you want to know where you can move, where you can't move, you can go to that gray box. We try to keep everything updated and everything as fresh as possible. So this is really the one-stop shop that you and the public and everyone who's interested in the project is going to want to go. Again, that's our contact information. And lastly, that picture that you saw with the crane, the old freight crane out there. So we are fully rehabilitating that. We're going to strip it of all the rust, resand it. We're going to paint it. And there's a crane out in the Boyertown area that got the same type of treatment. That's what we modeled our rehabilitation on. And so when we're all done, that's going to be an icon out there along the trail and along the park that everyone will be able to see and everyone will be able to go to and meet at. So with that, I want to thank you all for your time. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to take it. We did leave a construction brochure and a project brochure and some other materials with you, but we will leave copies of them out there for any residents that may want to grab them on the way out. Thank you.
Any questions? Yeah, I do. You know, when you first started this project, I always asked if you had any local residents or apprentice people that are going to be on this project. Has that ever happened yet?
Yeah. Sorry, Derek.
You didn't hear me?
Yeah, you're Dennis. You mentioned local residents working on the project, right?
Yes, correct.
Right. So, for better or for worse, this is a federal aid project, and we have to abide by all the bidding and letting standards that PennDOT has put together for all of their projects based on federal guidelines. Despite that, we do have union representation on the job. Many of the subs are unions, and we aren't able to track who lives where. That's information that we're just not privy to. It's probably a safe assumption that there's at least somebody from the town who's working on the job. But because our hands are sort of tied on how we have to go about letting the project, we can't really get into a lot of those issues that I know that this council has really been working to try to tackle locally.
Yeah, okay. That's always a little disappointing to me, knowing that we have a $90 million project. And when it comes to Norristown, we have one of the lowest unemployment rates here. And I know I said that before to you. So I would hope that we can try to get something in the works. Maybe, I don't know how you're going to do it. But it would be nice to get some local Norristown residents or something going on in regards to that.
Sure.
It just makes sense.
Yep. Yeah, we don't.
That's just me talking.
Yeah, we don't disagree, and I know that on the other two phases at times, various subs and the primes have had Norristown residents be part of it, but it's just something that based on state and federal regulations, we're not able to go out and specifically make sure that we have certain things. We have like DBE requirements, disadvantaged business enterprise, minority business enterprise. We have a 7% goal on there. That's a federal requirement, and we always hit that target. But in terms of knowing exactly where everybody comes from, that's something that we don't always as project managers have control over.
And then in regards to the culvert, who would be in charge of the culvert after we're done, after that's done being fixed up? Will we still be in charge of that? Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
Just to let council know and residents as well, Lafayette Street is a Norristown-owned road, so it's a little unusual. Montgomery County is basically spearheading a project to fix a road that the municipality owns. You still own it, and when you're all done, you'll continue to own it, but it'll be brand new, and it won't be in the condition that we've all been seeing for the last 50 years.
Then my last thing is there is a pothole at Lafayette and DeKalb Street. It wasn't done too good. It looked like it's going to sink in again. Hopefully one of your guys can look that over.
Yep.
I know our residents are really complaining about that.
Yeah. So council and Derek, just so you know, we have been taking steps to address that this last week. We dug into it. That pothole was created somewhat as part of a trench that ULS was the subcontractor to PICO when they came in. They redid all the gas lines late last summer. So that trench that started that was their work. We've been working with code enforcement. There is a property owner nearby who's been discharging water onto the ground that has been creating that pothole. Every time ULS or our contractor or anybody tries to fix it up and strengthen it, the water keeps eating into it. So today we had our contractor put a plate over it, so at least until code enforcement can take care of that issue, that we don't have any more issues from drivers or residents.
We've been waiting for that plate.
Sure.
All right, thank you very much. Any other questions? No, thank you.
Great. Thank you, council.
So we're going to hold off for my Citizens Police Academy people first. Excuse me, because one of our council members has to go. She has something that she needs to do. So Municipal Administrator, we're going to go straight to Keep America's Beautiful Partnership Grant application.
Thank you. Council, before you is a request of council to ratify a grant application we submitted for $20,000 to the Keep America Beautiful organization. As you know, Norristown is the only Keep America Beautiful affiliate in Montgomery County. And we joined Keep America Beautiful at the direction of council last year and have been actively engaged in doing projects since that time. As you also know, Brandon, my special assistant, Brandon Ford serves as Norristown's executive director of the Keep Norristown Beautiful affiliate of Keep America Beautiful. These grant applications are made available, these grants are made available only to Keep America Beautiful affiliates. And so when the grant became available, the deadline for applying was May 29th, and we didn't have an opportunity to get in front of council to ask for approval to apply for the grant. There is no match required for the grant, so we wanted to make the deadline in doing that. One of the things in terms of a project that we looked at, and this grant is about, is really a kind of a focus again on the redevelopment that's happening on downtown. A few weeks ago, I guess it's a few months ago now, a few council members and I attended a meeting, a divot meeting, I believe it was in Easton, Pennsylvania. And one of the things we noticed in Easton is that they had an alleyway in Easton a lot like Strawberry Alley. And they had created that as a focal point for their downtown, or as a gathering public place for their downtown. And in light of the efforts that we're making in terms of the retail recruiter, in terms of the county project, and the Lafayette Street project that just was discussed, and other things that are going on in downtown, we decided, hey, that would be a good application. One of the things that this grant is about is they want to give grants to creative uses for attractive spaces in communities that focus on gathering places for the communities. So we submitted this grant application, and our request tonight is that council ratify the submission of the grant, the application, to get that on the record.
Okay. Any questions? I'd like to make a motion to request the municipal council to ratify the submission of a grant application to the Keep America Beautiful Lowe's Community Partners Program, requesting $20,000 for a Keep Norristown Beautiful beautification project downtown. Roll call, please.
Olivia Brady, Valerie Scott Cooper, Hakeem Jones, Rebecca Smith, Derek Perry.
Aye. The ayes have it. Motion passes. Good luck. Okay, and Ms. Davies, the Citizens Police Academy, or Mr. Chief, either or.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. So we'd like to take the opportunity to congratulate our graduates. Our Citizens Police Academy is our opportunity to give our residents a view as to what it's like to be a police officer. And it's also our opportunity to develop some great relationships. This was a really engaged group, so we're happy to be able to do this tonight in front of council. And also we're honored that you were one of our participants. So we'd like to do that tonight.
I had a ball.
Reverend Jones, can you come up with us as well? So we'll start with Lance Lawson. Christopher McDonald. Rashad Bates. Ada Rodriguez. Mr. Derek Perry. Lakia Johnson. Obed Almeida. Marietta McCabe. Bernard Murray. Thank you. Kaylee Plasinski. Miguel Durant. And Alvaro Robles. Okay, please join me in congratulating them again. It's not on the list.
Robert E.C. Jones.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rashad Bates, and excuse me. I'm representing the class of 2018 for the Citizens Police Academy. And is it working? Oh, there we go. Nice. All right. I'll repeat that again. My name is Rashad Bates, and I'm representing the Citizens Police Academy of 2018. And here I'm just going to talk to you guys about what we did in our 10-week course and try to make it less than 10 minutes for you. And I have a question for you all. Does any of you guys have any doubts about the Norristown Police Department? Any concerns or anything like that? You can raise your hand. Don't be afraid. Well, some of us did in our class, and I just hope that after I'm done talking to you that you'll have a different perception on them. So for the first half of our CPA class, we were greeted by Gina Davies, the Community Affairs Liaison, and Lieutenant Bishop. And we started off with a tour of the police station. We got to walk around and see the environment that the Norristown Police Department works in, and it was pretty nice. We actually got to see the holding cells too, and that reminded us of why we're not going to break the law, because it wasn't a fun place to hang out in. We also learned about their policing strategies, and just to elaborate a little bit on that, we learned that the Norristown Police Department has a proactive way of preventing future crimes, and they have a public crime map that you guys can all view online. They also ride around some of the not as good neighborhoods and talk to the residents around just to let them know that they're here and it's safe and there's someone you can talk to and they're out to help you. They also talk to some of the, I guess I'll say bad apples and criminals of the town and let them know they're also here to help as well. But at the same time, just letting them know, hey, we're watching you. Please don't make the same mistake again. I would also like to mention that even though I call them criminals, the Norristown Police Department refers to them as impact players, and that to me showed that they have a lot of integrity and they treat everyone with respect, but not label them with a more demeaning term. The NPD also gets assistance from community policing, which is help from organized groups and civilians, and one of them is being the neighborhood watch, and that's when a civilian gets trained to be more aware of their surroundings and look out for like suspicious cars that aren't part of their street or block or vandalism and things of that nature. Another way they get help is through the chaplain program, and that's led by Reverend Helen M.C. Jones. And actually a couple of our people in our group are actually trained to be chaplains. And what they do is they ride around with the NPD or the EMS, and they are used for spiritual help for people that are going through a tragedy. One of the third ways of community policing was through the Nextdoor app. It's something that's available on Android and iOS devices, and you guys can take a look at your phones now if you'd like to. You don't have to, but it's a very useful app. It keeps the community together. What you guys can do on there is you can meet all your neighbors that live on your street or near you, and you guys can collaborate on different events or issues that are going on in your town. Excuse me. And also another reason to have that app is because the more we know each other, the more safer our communities can be. During our first half, we also had a tour of the Emergency Dispatch Center in Eagleville. We learned how the 911 operators do their work and how everything is dispatched. And it was actually very interesting to see. They just have like a bunch of 10 TVs and video cameras and everything. They can see what's going on. It's very interesting stuff. Towards the end of the first half, we were showing video footage of how some scenarios can escalate extremely quickly and how the police department handles everything in a well-fashioned manner. One of our favorite classes was when they showed us all their firearms and all the cool stuff they have, like the tasers. We actually got to hold the taser and, pull the button. We didn't get to shoot anyone with it, unfortunately. But, it was really cool. And some of the apparatus they had for their SWAT team department, which is really nice. Also, during those classes, I guess he's not here, but we had Detective Crawford. He had his pockets full of Kentucky bluegrass and little bags of Advil and several weapons hidden on him. And he was showing us the proper procedure of how to do a pat down and frisk. And he allowed us to come up there and pat down and frisk him as well. And we made jokes that we'd take him out to dinner later. But all jokes aside, it was a very eye-opening exercise because the pat down can be serious when you're patting people down. You have to determine whether this is a foreign object or if it's actually a weapon or anything like that before you can, check their pockets or go and arrest them or go any further with that. During the second part of the CPA, we were all given an opportunity to do a ride along, and I chose to do my ride along on May 4th just because it sounded cool because you're with the force. I don't know if you guys know about May the Force be with you. And also it was a Friday night for Cinco de Mayo, so I could see some action. So I don't know if I just mentioned that, Officer O'Neill, she drove me around Norristown. She showed me a lot of Norristown that I never knew. I mean, I've lived in Norristown for a very long time, and she just showed me a lot of good stuff and a couple of bad things, but got to see it all. I did end up getting to see some action during my ride along, which was nice, and within just like 2 hours, I did realize how stressful being a cop can be. You guys are put in a lot of stressful situations. Excuse me. And also, since we got to have a ride along, we had a 101, and I found out she was a part of the Navy and that a lot of other police officers are part of the military, and I think that's a great benefit to have, a part of the police, a part of the police department. The other part of the second half was classes on criminal, juvenile, and drug investigations. We were taught about how domestic and child abuse cases are handled, and it was one of those classes I stood out the most because we learned a lot of new information about it. I'm not going to go into too much detail because it's not something I really want to talk about. But I will share a couple brief stories about it. Not sure who it was, but one of the officers told us about how they had a domestic abuse case, and after they got involved, I guess a year or so later, the individual that had the problem contacted the MPD just to let them know, thank you for being involved and helping me because I'm a better person now and I'm not who I used to be. And that was just a great story. Along with one of the juvenile stories, there was a young girl who was a victim of human trafficking, and she didn't know that, and the MPD happened to be there and help her out, and because she was moments away from never seeing the light of day again, and that's pretty scary, but it was nice that they were there to help her out. That we were also informed, because of the alarming rates of school shootings that we've been hearing about going along, that for the last 8 years, the Norristown School District has had an officer in their schools. And to conclude our Citizens Police Academy, we had Corporal Gergel talk to us about how they deal with gangs and patterns and where they come from, because not all of them, all the bad people are from Norristown. They actually come try to find new territory to get, which is very interesting. We also had Police Chief Talbot come speak with us about his experience, his mission, his goals for the MPD. And we learned that he's been policing for over 20 years, and he's extremely passionate about his job. And we can also see that with all the officers that we talked to throughout the 10 weeks. They love their job. We were supposed to be there for like 2 hours, but we ended up being there for like 2.5, 3, because they didn't mind answering all the questions that we had. We had a lot of questions. And also just want to throw in, just in case none of you knew, that since Chief Mark Talbot has been in the police force, or in Norristown since 2013, that the crime rate has actually been lowered by 30%. So with that, I hope that all of you have a good idea of how our Citizens Police Academy went. And after hearing our experience, we hope that you have more faith in our police department than you did yesterday. Hopefully that inspired some of you to assist in community policing by joining the Neighborhood Watch or joining the Citizens Police Academy of 2019. And that you hopefully checked out that Nextdoor app, because it's very useful for us. And on behalf of the class of 2018, we just want to say thank you guys for having this course and this opportunity to learn about you guys and everything you guys do. We agreed that this was a very informative and fun course, and we have a way better perception of you guys. And we're proud and confident that the Norristown Police Department will continue to work with integrity, save lives, and make Norristown a safe place. Thank you.
Come right here with you. This is called Programs of Your Play.
It'd be interesting, though. All the things we just said would be interesting. Yeah, I know, sure.
In regards to the Citizens Police Academy, the class, definitely had a pleasure speaking with you guys in the class, having a ball, asking a lot of questions. Is very detail oriented in regards to policing and what they do on a daily basis. And I would suggest that any of our residents, please go join it, sign up when it comes out again, as well as our Citizens Leadership Academy to learn about government is some of the things that we don't know as citizens when we're out here. Ms. Secretary, do we have any announcements?
I don't. Do you?
Huh?
Do you?
Oh, yeah, shoot. That's right. Okay. We have the Norristown Garden Contest, which is now until June 25th. It's hosted by the Norristown Garden Club. Beautify your home, garden, neighborhood, and enter before June 25th for the chance to win prizes from the Norristown Garden Club. Entry forms are available at Municipal Hall, the Norristown Public Library, and online. All entries are free, and the contest is open to all residents of the municipality. June is Bloom, presented by the Norristown Garden Club, Saturday, June 9th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Norristown State Hospital, multi-purpose building. Norristown's award-winning garden club will be hosting a flower show and craft market this Saturday in the State Hospital's multi-purpose building. Come see the flowers and crafts from local vendors. A light lunch is available for purchase from 11:30 to 1. The Montgomery County Tire Collection, which is also held Saturday, June 9th from 9 a.m. to noon. That will be at the Montgomery County Community College in Bluebell. Montgomery County is hosting a free tire collection event for residents to drop off unwanted tires to be shredded and repurposed into various products. 10 tires per vehicle maximum, only residents, no businesses. Making History Greater Series, Montgomery County Trolleys, which is also on Saturday, June 9th from 12:30 to 2 p.m. at 1654 DeKalb Street. The Historical Society of Montgomery County will be presenting on the history of trolleys in Montgomery County. This event is free and open to the public. Summer camp signups is Saturday, June 9th and the 16th from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. at Norristown Municipal Hall. It is $300 for residents and $400 for non-residents, not $300 per week per resident. Norristown Recreation will be on site for personal signups for the 2008 summer camp program. We have Battle of the Badges Blood Drive, which is Tuesday, June 12th from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. at the Montgomery County Human Services Center, Community Room, first floor, 1430 DeKalb Street. Every firefighter, police officer, and other emergency personnel help those in need. Respond to the call and help make a difference in our community by donating blood in honor of Norristown Municipality at our American Red Cross Battle of the Badges Blood Drive on Tuesday. That is the Sheriff's Department against our very own Norristown Police Department and Fire Department. We're gonna win it. We have the Summer Concert Series at Elmwood Park, which is Sunday, June 10th at 7 p.m. Monkey Phillies. Norristown's annual Summer Concert Series will be featuring the music of Monkey Phillies this Sunday at the iconic Elmwood Park Band Shell at 7 p.m. This event and all other summer concerts are free. Thanks for funding. The funding is coming from Arcadia Foundation. We have Juneteenth in Norristown, which is Tuesday, July 4th, starting at 10 a.m. Celebrate Juneteenth in Norristown with two great events. First, the Iron Age Theater will be offering a walking tour of downtown Norristown. The tour will be led by members of the NAACP and will include dramatic performances that explores the African American journey to freedom in the seat of Montgomery County. Tours start at 5 Saints Distillery on Main Street. After that, the Norristown Chamber of Commerce will be hosting a social mixture for the entire community at Theater Horizon. Tickets at $10 for members and $15 for non-members. Visit the Facebook page, Norristown Chamber of Commerce. Norristown 4th of July celebration, which is hold on. The Juneteenth, I'm thinking, is going to be July 3rd, not July 4th. But we got to look into that. Wednesday, July 4th, starting at 9:30 a.m., the municipality has partnered with the Norristown Chamber of Commerce to present Norristown's annual 4th of July celebration. This year's celebration will be introducing a new parade route, a block party on Main Street from DeKalb to Arch, and the traditional concert at Elmwood Park with fireworks to cap off the night. If you or someone you are interested in participating in the parade, showcasing your business or group at the block party, or performing at either or both, contact the Chamber's event coordinator, Tenney King, at tenneyking@gmail.com, and that's TENNEKING@gmail.com. Thanks, Vice President. Oh, thanks, no problem. Do we have any public comment?
Yes, Tommy LaPira.
1 second before public comment. Oh, no, I just did it. Oh, sorry, I'm sorry, Councilman Jones.
I just wanted to share that Aclamo Family Centers is having a community health fair this Saturday, June 9th at the Culvert Center from noon to 3. The health center will provide free health screenings, local and regional medical resources, games, treats, and funds for kids. So that's Saturday, June 9th at the Culvert Center. Also, June 23rd, Norristown Med of Excellence is having their 7th annual free youth football clinic in partnership with the new high school football program. That will be from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., grades kindergarten through 12th. You have an opportunity to meet the new football staff and players, as well as send your student out to train for the day with former college athletes as well as recent athletes. Thanks.
Any other announcements? Sorry about that, Councilman Jones. Public comment.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Perry. Before we move into public comment, just as a reminder for those who are going to be providing public comment, we usually say this before this section for those who might have not given public comment before. Public comment is an opportunity for interested individuals or residents to stand up and provide feedback, thoughts, etc. with regard to Norristown issues to council. It's not a Q&A session. It's not an opportunity to engage in a dialogue with any of the council members or any of the staff members. It's really just an opportunity for the members of the public and, again, interested individuals to share their thoughts, concerns, etc., for council to be aware of and to possibly do follow-up with. So I just want to make sure for those who are giving public comment that they understand, what the expectations would be. So with that, I'll turn it back over to the secretary.
Hold on, Ms. Secretary. There's been some video going around on Facebook in regards to our police department, and I would like Chief Talbot to address that, to tell everybody what is going on, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. So it was brought to my attention last night that there was a video recorded of a couple officers making an arrest. The video depicts the officers engaging with a couple of females that were fighting with each other. The officers arrest the two females, and they're dealing with some other people in the community as they're making this arrest. Some of the conduct on the video doesn't look good, as a lot of use of force situations don't. So we're investigating, we're looking into the background, checking to see if the behavior that's depicted is appropriate, and we'll take the appropriate action.
Thank you, Ms. Secretary. Okay.
Tommy LaPira.
Good evening. Speaking in reference to the engineer that was chosen on this project, the capital improvement projects. Here in Norristown, we have a responsible contract ordinance. This ordinance ensures that taxpayer-funded projects are done with contractors that possess a bona fide apprenticeship program approved and registered with the United States Department of Labor. True apprenticeship training is vital to the safety of the men and women on construction sites and also to the safety of the residents in Norristown. Time and time again, we see accidents on construction sites that could be prevented had the workers been properly trained. We would not send a teacher into a school without being properly educated, or a fireman into a burning building without being properly trained. And just yesterday, a man was killed in Philadelphia when a house that was being demolished collapsed, also injuring several others. This is just one example on a long list of such disasters. When it comes to apprenticeship trainings, though, we must beware of wolves in sheep's clothing. According to a study done by the Keystone Research Center using data from the United States Department of Labor, certain organizations, such as the Associated Builders and Contractors, or ABC as you might know them, have started their own apprenticeship programs. The programs they sponsor have low attendance rates, even lower graduation rates, almost non-existent female and minority participation, and especially high dropout rate for the few female and minorities that they do have. According to that same study, union apprenticeship programs have outperformed non-union programs such as the ABC's on every measure of program success. In fact, the former head of the Non-Union Industry Association, the Associated Builders and Contractors, ABC, Theodore C. Kennedy, said in a speech to the American Institute of Chemical Engineers, quote, "We eliminate any wage increases. Few craftsmen have any kind of meaningful retirement program. Fewer still have any kind of medical, and on we go to the 21st century. You owners are sitting there watching us degrade what is supposed to be our greatest commodity, which is our people. And as the wages fall, the benefits disappear, and more leave the industry, you take refuge by saying it's the American way, the competitive marketplace at work, the free enterprise system in action. You will never convince me that our current approach is cost effective." End quote. That's from the former head of the ABC saying that, talking about cost effective. The ABC's program is not about training. It is about profit for the company owners. On the flip side, union apprenticeships keep advancing into the future with record number of minority and female inclusion, and also have become college accredited where students leave with an associate's degree. Hiring a firm in this town that is represented by the ABC would be detrimental to the direction we are trying to go. Thank you for your time, and if you want a copy of that study, I have copies.
Thank you very much. You can put it right here on the table. Any other public comments?
Yes, Al Johnson.
Good evening, good evening. I came to council last year about the same situation in the 300 block of East Penn, right around the corner. If my yard looked like this, I would be fine out of myself. I don't know who runs, what do you call it, code enforcement? Little Miss Town Watch.
Ms. Dars.
Ms. Dars. She even went as far as to try and get something done about this last year with me. This grass, these lots, the stuff right now, I just took these pictures this morning, are almost up to my waist. I'm 6'5". You can find bodies in there. You wouldn't know. Code enforcement needs to step their game up and get this handled. You talking about beautifying Norristown, beautifying downtown? What about the blocks we live on? These people own these properties. They're nowhere around. They don't care. I'll pay the fine. I'm not cutting the grass, was the guy's exact words. City Council, I'm asking you to step your game up. Do something about this. Me, the neighbors on my block, got to come out and look at this plight every day. No, you wouldn't want it in your neighborhood. I don't want it in mine.
Thank you.
Tyrone Baker.
Good evening, Council, Council President, officers, and members of the community. My name is Tyrone Baker. I'm a member of Local 98 North, and I was just commenting on Mr. Crandall's awarding of $13,500. He said it's not a lot of money, but even $13.50 of taxpayer dollars represents something of substance. And I'm just here to say that I'm a proud union member for the last 28 years, and I don't really approve of using substandard contractors, particularly Gorski or whoever. I think it's demeaning to spend taxpayer dollars and not at least have the safety of the community at stake. So I just hope that council just thinks about what they're doing and puts the community first, and for safety and for all the things that we've been blessed as union brothers and sisters in the community. I mean, I'm raised here in Norristown, and I've been blessed to be a union member, and it's been a blessing to make almost $100,000 a year with a GED. So I just hope that you guys could have a considerable heart to rethink awarding contracts to substandard or substandardized workers. I think that's very unfair and unfit, and it just doesn't make sense. Have a good night. Thank you.
Jackie Yates.
I'm Jackie Yates. I'm a member of PASNAP at Temple Hospital. It's a nursing union.
You gotta step up to the mic.
Jackie Yates, member of PASNAP union at Temple University Hospital.
Okay.
It's a nursing union. But I was kind of thrown back that the people who were working on the project were not from Norristown, for one. Like he was saying, well, some of them are from around. He said they try to get people from Norristown, but they're not all from Norristown. And then I was, my question is whether within the trade unions, if there are people of color or diversity within the leadership, like the officers, not the rank and file, but the officers. So, just curious. So.
That is a trade union question, but we don't go back and forth. You got the guys sitting right there in front of you in regards to trade union. But we thank you for your comment.
Is this, they just apply for it as a big grant, and then they can, like this person who got this contract, he can just apply for it as a grant? Or how do you go about trying to get someone for that job? Do you know?
In regards to public comment, I can talk to you after the meeting, or somebody can talk to you after the meeting. Thank you.
Robin Clark. No, Robin Clark. That's it.
That's it? Okay. Thank you. I'm sorry, I have to go back to Mr. Johnson. Mr. Johnson, what is that address of this location that you gave us?
Like 338 East Penn. There's about 4 garages right there. Those are the areas between each garage. You come down Penn Street the one way, you put the left-hand side.
I know where you're talking. Thank you. Do we have any communications?
No, we don't.
Do we have any items for action?
Turn.
That's it?
Turn.
Okay. Can we have a motion to adjourn? All in favor? Any nays? Meeting adjourned.
Turn the page.